Hi, I'm ShaneWithHR.com. Today you're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to walk you through the installation of the SumoSprings Rebel Custom Helper Springs for the front axle on your 2018 Newmar Canyon Star 26,000 pound Ford F53 chassis. These are going to be designed to reduce body roll and sway and give you a much more comfortable ride while you're traveling. For those of you that are new to RVing, if you haven't driven long distance yet, there's things called crosswinds, and when you get next to a tractor trailer, there's wind that comes in between both you and that tractor trailer, and it kind of moves the RV. I know firsthand. I've driven RVs. I have gone to several states camping with an RV, so I know what it's like to be on the road using one, especially without SumoSprings. What happens is, with a crosswind, because they're so tall, the top of your RV is going to lean like this. When it leans, the whole RV wants to push over to the other lane or to the side of the road. You have to muscle the steering wheel to keep it straight. Same thing when you're going by a tractor trailer. Maybe you're coming up on a tractor trailer, one's coming up on you. What happens is the nose of that tractor trailer is pushing so much wind past it that when you hit the front of it or next to it, it's going to feel like you're kind of pulling in like this, and then a big gust of wind is going to go right in between. It's going to push you off like this. Again, you're muscling the steering wheel to try and keep you in your lane. With the SumoSprings, what they do is they reduce how much body roll and sway you're getting, want to keep you upright. So once that spring makes contact with the bottom, they compress and they get stiff, and it wants to push you back up to keep you upright. That way you don't have to muscle as much of the steering wheel, makes your ride much more comfortable, and there's a lot less fatigue. Another thing our springs are going to do for us, they're really going to reduce the road shock we feel. If we didn't have them, what happens is our jounce stops that are factory jounce stops that are on, when you're loaded up, what happens is you feel that kind of smack when you hit a bump. With the spring, what it does is it compresses soft at first, and then it gets stiffer. So you don't feel that hard hit or that big bump. Makes your ride much more comfortable. Our springs are already constructed of a molecular urethane. If I had to describe them, it's kind of like a real dense foam. When comparing these to like airbags, these are going to be maintenance free. You put them in, you don't have to do anything with them. Unlike your airbags, you have to maintain the air pressure in them. They're going to hold up in all weather conditions. They're going to hold up against UV rays, road salts, and oils. They're going to be a two-piece design, which means you're going to have unlimited suspension expansion, but when your top piece comes in contact with your bottom, that's where you're going to get your support. For lighter loads, what happens is when that spring comes in contact with the bottom, it's really light. It compresses really soft. That's going to take a lot of your road shock and everything out. Maybe you have a light load, or maybe you're just traveling without a load, and you hit a rough part of the road. With that softer compression at the very beginning, you're not going to feel it as much in the top or in the RV while you're driving. When you're carrying heavier loads, these are actually going to compress up to 80%, but they're going to start out soft. To get to that 80% is when it gets stiffer. What that means is when you're carrying a heavy load, unlike your normal jounce stop or bump stop, when that bottoms out or that bump stop hits the frame, it kind of smacks like that. It's kind of a hard hit. With these, it's going to compress soft, and then it's going to get stiff, so you don't feel that jolt. It's going to take up a lot of that jarring feeling that you get when you're on unlevel ground, going over speed bumps or something like that, up in the front of the RV. These springs are going to work independently side to side, so you're really going to reduce that body roll and sway that you get. As far as the installation on them, you're going to use factory hardware when installing the top piece onto the frame. Bottom is going to attach directly to the leaf spring stack. When installing airbags, you have to run lines, all that. With these, you install them. They're maintenance free. You don't have lines you have to worry about. You put them in and you forget them. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let me show you how to get it installed. We're going to start on our driver's side. We're going to need a 13mm socket and a 15mm socket or wrench. We need to remove our factory bump stop. On our driver's side, we're going to have a nut up top. That's going to be your 15mm. The difference between our driver and passenger side is on the passenger side, you have a nut, the bolt going into your bump stop actually goes into a weld nut. So you won't be removing the nut on the passenger side. So what we're going to do, 13mm socket with an extension. We're going to put it up inside. We'll take our 15mm. I'm going to go right up on top. We're going to make sure we hold on to our factory hardware because we're going to be reinstalling it. So now we're going to install the top part of our spring. It's going to come like this with this bracket. We're going to take these bolts out. We're going to take our factory bolt that we just removed. We're going to put it through the hole there. And then we're going to reinstall the bracket with the hardware. There's a little notch. It's kind of cut out there. This is actually going to sit right on this edge of this frame. So it's going to sit like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a 9/16. We're going to tighten these bolts down. We're going to insert it back into the same spot and install the nut. Now we'll take a 13mm socket, or wrench, we're going to slide it in, get a hold of the head of the bolt. We'll take our 9/16 on the top side and tighten it down. And we'll make sure, and when you tighten it, that it's sitting like this. Now we're going to install our lower section. You're going to notice that there's a longer side and a shorter side. On your passenger side, the longer side is going to go towards the wheel. But on our driver's side, you'll notice this knuckle here. If we put the long side over there, it's going to interfere with it. And we're not lining up with the top part of our spring. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin it around. You're going to have a couple brackets that look like this. This here is going to hook right underneath this plate. So it's potentially going to sit just like this. So what we're going to do is take your bolt and drop it through, put a flat washer on, and you're going to put the bracket on. Then you're going to put a flange nut on. I'm going to take a 9/16 socket and wrench, and we're going to loosely install this side and make sure that our bracket gets underneath that center plate there. There. And then we can install our back side the same way. We'll adjust our spring, get it as close to the center as possible, and we can tighten down our hardware. Once you're done with one side, you're going to repeat the process on the other. Again, I'm Shane with EGR.com. I hope this video has helped you, whether you're still deciding or installing the SumoSprings front helper springs on your 2018 Newmar Canyon Star Motorhome with 26,000-pound F53 chassis.